Welcome to the Emerald Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy Doyle, and on this podcast I speak to different Irish athletes about their highs, their lows, biggest battles, biggest successes, and why they fell in love with their sport. In this episode I chat to former Dublin footballer Robbie McDaid. Robbie's had a lot of success, including winning an All-Ireland club title in 2016 for Ballyboden and 3 senior All-Ireland titles for Dublin. I chat to Robbie about playing and growing up at Ballyboden, his move to Dubai and playing with the Celts, and his journey with Dublin. Without further ado, Robbie McDaid. Robbie, how are you? Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Chrissy. Thanks for having me.
No bother at all. How's Dubai life treating you?
It's good, yeah. The fine weather definitely makes it a little bit easier getting out of bed every morning. But no, I'm here. This is my 3rd year now, and I've fairly settled in. It takes a while to settle in completely, I would say, but kind of have my little routines now, and it's a good life.
Good life, yeah. No, I'd agree with you, and I tell you, it's hard getting up early in the mornings, but when the sun is there instead of the rain bashing in the window at home, it makes some difference.
Oh, that's it. Now, even back home, I'd be wearing my shorts every day. So, knowing that I won't be freezing, it definitely makes it that little bit easier, because they are early starts out here. You'd be setting the alarm for almost 5:30 every morning to be in work just after 7 o'clock. So they're early. So it definitely makes it a little bit easier. Yeah, no, 100%. And tell me, because I know you're playing same club as myself, but playing football out here with the Celts. How have you found that since even the transition, or playing a bit of football out here? How have you found it? Yeah, it's good. Like, obviously, when I came out here, I was recovering from an Achilles rupture. So my first 12, it took me 15 months, to be honest, to recover, but I had the surgery 3 months before I moved over. So, my first kind of introduction to the game out here was from the sideline, and I was coaching the girls and watching the lads play, and it's definitely a different type of game for sure. But it's very enjoyable. There's obviously 1 or 2 rule changes that they brought in over here. Never mind back home, but over here, which has improved the lads' game big time. And this year now I'm back playing and coaching the girls again. Despite taking the year off last year from coaching them, they've roped me back in for another one. But it's very enjoyable. The game's very enjoyable, and even we have Bahrain tournament coming up soon, and getting to travel a little bit with the GAA is always a nice little plus.
Yeah, and if the girls are roping you back in again, you must be good, or you must be teasing, because they wouldn't rope you back in if not.
I say I'm the only one that was, I'm a bit of a pushover for that. I was probably the only one that was saying, "Oh, maybe." So they jumped on it, but no, like I've no regrets. It's time consuming for sure, but the fact that we might have our own training, and then the girls are on directly after us, it definitely makes it a little bit easier. And I say they're a great bunch, and they buy in, and that's all I can ask for, really.
Yeah, you can't ask for any more than that. And just tell me, even with playing the game over here compared with home, what's, I suppose, the biggest difference you might find, or something that you even love about playing football out here?
Yeah, obviously it's 9 aside on the pitch, and then your 3 rolling subs, and that definitely takes a while to get used to. And maybe back home you'd be playing the 60 minutes with the club or 70 with county, and you're playing every second of it, whereas here you have to kind of train yourself to time things nicely, because the first tournament I think I learned a lot, because we got to the semi-final and my legs were fairly bet by then. So that definitely took a little bit of learning. But there's some great footballers out here, and the way it's been played now, that we have to go over the halfway line in 30 seconds, it's added a lot of pace to the game. We obviously know there's a lot of changes brought in back home, and I was watching the interprovincials there to see how they would pan out. But the game over here as well is, it's quite intense. You have to be fit, and you get found out fairly sharp, and Yeah, it's just the way it's been played in tournaments as well. It's just a great day, and all the clubs coming together, and so many lads from back home as well playing with the other teams, and there's a lot to like about the game over here as well.
Yeah, it's a great community spirit. The tournaments are great, where you just get all the clubs together, all the Irish community together, and even have people outside the Irish community getting involved, which is fantastic as well. And yeah, it's a great day out. You watched the interprovincials. What did you make of the new rules, or what did you make of the games?
Yeah, I got to watch the two semi-finals on the Friday, and then I got to catch a good bit, or maybe the first half of the final itself. I don't know yet. It's still very early. The games weren't very competitive. Obviously, for those lads that were playing as well between club and county, and but like it was interesting to see. When I saw the rule proposals, I was quite excited to see how they'd pan out. I don't think they panned out as positively as I thought they might have. I'd hold my own opinion on one or two of the rules, but I think the one rule that stood out to me the most maybe was not passing to the goalie in their own half. I think if that was the only rule to be brought in, I think that would change a lot. Because I watched the Dublin County final was on the following day, and it was the old rules, and it was very exciting. But the parts of the game that you'd look away or you'd look at your phone was when the teams are just kicking it all the way back to their goalie, and no one wants to see a goalie standing in one place solo on the ball to himself. So I think even if that was the only rule, I'd be fairly happy and be interested to see how that goes. I'd hold a few reservations about keeping 3 up. I don't think it solves much. It just creates with the goalie coming up, then say there's an extra attacker every play. I found a lot of the shots were uncontested, and I don't think that's what we want to see. There's I'm a defender, so there's very little defending, which is not great. And then I feel for the three in the full back line. I'm sure it's a forward stream, but if they're being told that they can't join attacks, I worry that maybe we'd be coaching football out of particular players from a young age. You might get good man markers, but I think we want to promote kicking. We want everyone to be able to kick. You look at the likes of Thomas Sullivan for Kerry, one of the best cornerbacks in the country, coming up kicking scores every game. Are you asking the likes of him to sit back? My hero growing up, my dad's a Donegal man, and my cousin played for Donegal for years. So I went to all their games, and my hero growing up would have been Carl Lacey, one of the best quarterbacks. And again, he had such great attacking ability, great kick passing ability. And, I'd be a little bit worried about that happening. And maybe if we get lopsided games, it'd be very difficult, and you could see a few slaughterings as a result.
Yeah, a few anyway. But it's always about the forward, though, isn't it? Like getting the 3 boys inside more space. But where's the thought for the 3 defenders, as you said, popping up the pitch, scoring points, getting involved in the play? It kind of kills the game for them.
Yeah, big time. I would have played fullback with my club and with the county growing up as well, and I had before that played midfield. So I knew what the game was like out around the middle, and I loved it. And I remember one of the days I was playing wing back, and I don't know if we're under a little bit of pressure at the back or if someone got injured, but I was put back into full back, and I was just like, oh, this just isn't half as enjoyable. That was just the way I wanted to be involved. And, I'm looking at it from that perspective, obviously being stuck in full back lines before. And I just think, with the 3 being left up, you had that goalie creating an extra player, and a lot of the shots were uncontested. And I think the rules there are good intentions behind them, but I just think they maybe fell short of what maybe is the root cause of the problems that we're having. And I don't think the scoring system helped, because the Connacht Leinster game was over after 10 minutes. And again, that's something you don't want to see.
Yeah, I have to say, I was watching that game and I was close to turning it off. I just, as you say, it was just over after 5 or 10 minutes. It was just so boring. Then it was just, it was just so open or something. It just, you give out about the other way of passing it side to side, but if lads are having pop shots or just getting through free every time, it's not enjoyable either. It's just.
Yeah, it's not what we want to see. With the kickouts, it's all about, creating the contest. That's what people want to see. And then, so we're adding the contest in the middle, but we're kind of getting rid of the contests in the forwards and the backs. And that's the most exciting contest. Don't get me wrong, the game needed a little bit of change, but I'd say if it was a rule that just don't pass it to goalie in your own half, I think that could improve a lot of the game. It might, urge teams to push up a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see if that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that develops. Robbie, I want to take you back. Obviously, it's very special for you growing up and playing for Ballyboden. Just talk to me about growing up playing for Ballyboden. Even the great success against Castlebar Mitchells. I think that was in 2016. Chat to me about that experience growing up at Ballyboden.
Yeah, Ballyboden's a great club. It's obviously a very big club in terms of numbers, but it's like a little small community. But I went to a little Gaelic school up in Ballantyre, and there was two lads I became best friends with who were from Rathfarnham in the Ballyboden catchment area. So I went up with them during a summer camp and fell in love with the game straight away. I think the summer camp had me doing hurling as well, but I didn't take that too well. But the football definitely, was a big thing for me. And growing up with them, playing with lads that, would be living in and around the area, was just, yourself. It's like every club around the country. It's very special. And then obviously when we were pushing on, under 14, 15, 16, my particular age group, we were actually playing Division 2 football. We were good, but we weren't great. The Northside teams dominated at my age group, the Castleknocks, the Raheenies, Ballymuns, such. And then when it came to minor, my particular age group, we actually won 2 minor leagues and 1 minor championship and lost another championship final. So it was kind of maybe the year above and below us were very good, or else we were that kind of bedrock between both. But, that's when we started, experiencing a little bit of success for me particularly anyway, and my age group. And then we had gone on to 21s and lost the semis, lost the final, and then finally won the final against a very strong Nafina team, who I think may have been going for 3 in a row there as well. So, we kind of had that solid core growing up and in those underage competitions. But yeah, when it came to playing senior football, like anyone knows, the Dublin Championship is super competitive. The likes of Ballymun, Vincent's in particular at the time, were just totally dominant and very difficult to beat. They had brilliant players. And in 2015, when we reached the final, that was our first final since we had won it in 2009. I wasn't involved back then. I was still a bit young, but we were coming up against a Vincent's team who had beaten us quite comprehensively in 2 semi-finals the years before that, by 7 points actually both times, but one in particular was a hammering. And the other one, it was still 7 points, but we knew we were getting a little bit closer. We were, learning a lot. And then we played them in the final and they were going for 3 in a row. And it was just one of those days where things came together very well. We had one lad in particular, actually quite interestingly, he was a cornerback for us, Bob Dwan, when we're just talking about players attacking, but he man-marked Dermot Connolly and did an amazing job and won that, which then obviously led into the Leinster campaign, which was a brilliant experience. And, they're definitely the most special moments, special weeks and special months. Everyone just rallies around the club. You see the flags going up around Ballyboden and all the schools asking you to come in with the trophies for the kids and all those, those little experiences is brilliant, and just great people in and around the area who were, more than happy to help us along the way. And, even St. Anne's, a local club beside us, they were letting us use their facilities during the winter to train. Everyone just bought in and got in behind us, and it was great. Yeah, and then obviously we got lucky in a few games. Don't get me wrong. There's the famous one against Portlaoise in the final, Leinster final, and then obviously against Clonmel Commercials in the All-Ireland semi-final. There were two games we got a little bit lucky with, but sometimes you need a bit of luck. And then obviously, we against Castlebar, and the same guy, Bob Dwan, actually scored 3 points from cornerback that day.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, good value to it. So, no, look, I spoke with Mick Fitzsimons and Con after the Coola win there, and I was just saying, look, enjoy the next few months because they literally are the best. Doing anything with your club is definitely the most special time.
Yeah, no, that sounds like very special memories for you, and just a great and find me a really good team who didn't have a bit of luck along the way. You just need it. And fair play to the cornerback as well. Man marking Dermot Connolly and scoring 3 points in the final. Oh.
Yeah. No, he was like one of those lads. He just saved his best games for finals, it seemed to be. So he was a great man to have on the team for sure.
Yeah, unreal. And I love the way I said to you, getting over Castlebar Mitchells and completely forgetting about how hard and tough to get out even the Dublin Championship is. I'd imagine even that's exhausting in itself. And then turn around, go for Leinster and to go to All-Ireland. I suppose it sums it up how big of achievement it actually is.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a quick turnaround, and I'd say we had been there getting semi-finals and losing and, against a really good Vincent team that were winning All-Irelands in and around that time as well. So, it's just one of those things that every year when the championship starts in Dublin, you're looking at 3, 4, potentially 5 clubs that could really have a great chance of winning it. And it's just about on the day it coming together and happening. We had a quick turnaround then for Leinster, and all of our games were away from home. There's none of us playing in Croke Park with the clubs until the big day. But it was brilliant. I'd say the club, I remember messages gone around for, how many buses they had organised to bring all these people down to the games. And, I'll never forget in particular the Clonmel Commercials game. We were 3 points down with 5 minutes to go, and we got a man sent off. And it was, we would have been strong favourites going into that game, but Clonmel were a brilliant team. A lot of those Tipperary lads would have been involved when they beat me at Minor in 2011. So definitely I was like, oh no, don't happen again. But we dug deep. It was, to be fair, it's a feature of our Ballyboden team. There are many games where we're kind of dead and buried, and we just dug it out and grinded it out. And Darren Nelson got the equaliser after about 12 steps, which brought it to extra time. And then we pushed on into extra time. But I just remember all the kids streaming in off the pitch, off the sideline when that final whistle went, and we had reached, obviously the Leinster that year was our club's first Leinster. So it was obviously then celebrating getting to the first ever All-Ireland final for the club. It was just a brilliant achievement and a brilliant occasion.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And there's what I find as well, no matter where you are with county titles and different things like that, there's people within the club, you'll never know how much they just appreciate, that success or that bit of a time as well. It's just amazing. Robbie, I want to bring you on to Dublin. I don't want to skip by because it's so easy to skip by and just go straight to senior with you, but as you dropped in there as well, you got the captain Dublin at minor level, and then you played under 21. Just talk to me about both those experiences, and even starting off with just the feeling of being captain for Dublin.
Yeah, so I would have first got called in with Dublin around under 14 after playing against, I'd say, a very strong Raheny team in one of those club games. And that's kind of where it all started under Dessie Farrell. So, growing up under 14, 15, 16, doing those, we didn't train too often, but we were training every now and then, and you're training with the best lads. And a lot of them, as we know, have gone on, in particular from my age group, to do amazing things So when I got announced as captain and got told I'd be captain of that particular group, it was just super special. It's something I never really even imagined. You know, obviously at that age you just want to get involved and you want to be starting and playing. But to be named captain of a great bunch of lads was super, and it was very special, very special for myself, but in particular for my parents, who drove me to every single session. They made sure I didn't miss anything. Even if I was injured, I'd be there to watch and learn. And they'd stick around for the hour, 2 hours, whatever length of time they needed to. And then it was just brilliant.
Yeah, no, an unreal honour, I would say. I can only imagine how good it would feel to do it. And I know it didn't work out against Tipperary, but at least you managed to get back for the under-21 championship, and I suppose a bit of redemption, I suppose, to get back and to win that.
Yeah, it was definitely, the Tipperary game was, it was a huge learning curve for us. There was a lot of talk about our team in particular, because we had players like Paul Mannion, like Kieran Kilkenny, John Small, Jack McCaffrey. I'd say all these lads who went on to do amazing things. And there was a lot of talk about it. And, probably at that young age as well, it's something you wouldn't be used to going into. And then you never know how it impacts you until you look back on it a few years later. And but I'd say that Tipperary team were very good. They've beaten many great teams in Munster, and then obviously in the quarters and semi-finals. So but yeah, I think getting back for the 21 was, like, say, a redemption type of thing. And we felt that, or I did in particular, that, we left a lot behind us over the years. So I didn't actually get involved myself in the first or second year of 21s. I'd been asked in, but I was doing my leaving cert the first year of 21. So I stepped away. And then the second year I actually played soccer instead of Gaelic football. So when it was my last year at 21s, I knew I wanted another crack at it. And again, under Dessie, I was lucky to get asked back in, and we went again. And there was a close game against Cavan in the All-Ireland semi-final. It seems to be a trend, but we just made sure of it then, and we played probably our best ever game against Roscommon in the final. And I think, it was a lot of weight off the shoulder for a lot of us, especially that 1993 group who would have, felt that we needed to make up for the minor loss in 2011. Yeah,
no, and look, I know it's a pressure because at the minor level, everybody's looking and just looking at Tipperary, and they're taking a Tipperary like it's the senior football Tipperary instead of the hurling. They're looking at Dublin football and they're saying, the Dubs have to win that. But, as you said, it was actually a very good Tipperary team, to be fair, as well. So it's so unfair that everyone else would have, I suppose, that judgment on it. Tell me, making the move then to Dublin senior team, I think it was around 2015, you got into the panel and got in around the scene. How was that feeling of getting called in? Was it intense? Because I've always wondered, because when you look at, I suppose, Jim Gavin, the Dublin setup, it's always like it must be 100% serious. Is it all serious? Is there a bit of crack and banter? What was that like?
Yeah, there's definitely a good bit of crack and banter. But yeah, it's one of those things. So I first got called up at the end of the season in 2014, and in and around November we went up to play an Ulster All-Star team in a charity match, and that was my first exposure to the senior setup. And obviously we're playing really good players from an Ulster All-Star selection. So that was my first kind of introduction to it all, and then obviously training with them in the league for 2015. Now I got dropped after the league campaign, but it was a huge eye opener for me and great experience to get in and amongst the squad and see what it's like. And I suppose with that, there's some great characters in the squad, and there would always be that banter, and you loved going. But when we were working, we worked hard, and Jim was great manager. Obviously, I knew he had a great backroom team to support that. But a lot of it was player driven as well. those lads that are there, they're there for a reason, and they're all driven and they want to succeed, and you just want to be a part of that, and you want to give what you can and take in terms of learnings from these lads who have gone on to, at that stage they had 1 or 2 All-Irelands, which was obviously brilliant, and it was kind of the start of that Dublin wave, I guess. So yeah, like, you show up early, you do your rehab, you make sure, or prehab as well, and make sure you're ready to go for the session, and you work hard for it, and then you just enjoy it after then.
Yeah, no, I was guessing there'd have to be a bit of crack and banter with it too. It couldn't be all serious, but yeah, I'd say when it's time to put the head down and work hard, lads are very serious about it, as you say, to get the job done and, do what you need to do. And tell me, because I know you made the breakthrough, let's say, for the starting 15 in 2020. Leading up to that, being on the squad, mentally, how did you try and deal with that? Because obviously you're an extremely good footballer, but you had a lot of extremely good footballers around you as well. I suppose, how did you keep yourself going, or what was that like?
Yeah, I'd say it was obviously a great time for Dublin football, and we had some of the best footballers in the country, never mind the county at that time. And in particular, I was working between full-back line and half-back line, and James McCarthy, John Small, Jack McCaffrey in the half-back line to compete with, and that's what you're up against. Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, it's a strange enough one. Like, I consider myself very lucky in a way, because I was in and out of the teams over the years, and 2016 I was there after the Club All-Ireland success, and that was my first championship campaign. And 2017 after the league I was dropped. 2018 I didn't go back in, and then I think 2018 was a very important year for me personally, because I just needed to maybe reset, refocus. I wasn't really enjoying my football at that time, and that was probably the most difficult moment for me. In terms of my football, just, will I, won't I get that break? And I just felt, I wasn't maybe as in love with the game at that stage. So I got back, asked back in for 2018, but I just said at the time that I need to just get back with the club, get playing games again, enjoying it, because, there are times there where you're training for the whole year and you're not playing games, which is never good, So I think that was a very important year for me personally. And then I felt fresh, ready to go again. 2019 was probably, strange enough, it was probably one of my best years, 2019 and 2020. And I got to make my championship debut in the Super 8s against Tyrone in 2019, but maybe didn't see as many minutes as I would have hoped. But again, it was a team going for five in a row, and it was going to be very difficult to break in at that time. But I felt that's where my momentum was building big time. I'd fallen in love with the game again and loving my game. And then getting that break in 2020, obviously following, we had won the Dublin Championship with the club in 2019 at the end of it. And we had gone on to another Leinster, and we lost to a very good Kilcoo team in the All-Ireland semis in January. So I was getting myself ready to go back in with Dublin for the league campaign, but I was nursing a little bit of a niggle from that Kilcoo game, and then COVID happened. So we had that time to go after the rehab, get myself right again, and going back with the club, first of all, before the winter, definitely was a good way to get up and running. And I just felt I carried that form through with me. And just from, I suppose, that break I took in 2018, I think was huge, which is strange because you're stepping away from a successful team. But I just think it's what I needed personally, and definitely helped.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how you're so involved, but yet it's taken a step back completely. It gives you the renewed energy to go back in fully with it. It's just amazing hearing that. And 2020, I don't know whether you've ever seen the article, but there's an article in the paper after your semi-final performance 2020, and it basically says, no need to worry about Jack McCaffrey anymore. Robbie McDaid is here, because obviously that was an amazing game for yourself. I think you were man of the match. Tell me, how did it feel then, finally being, I suppose, on the pitch, starting in the final and winning the All-Ireland? like that must be, I know you had the All-Ireland club, but what was that like with Dublin? Must have been amazing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It was very special. It was for me at the inter-county scene with the seniors. It was my third All-Ireland, but it was obviously the most precious to me because I was on the pitch and, just getting to experience that. I know it was an empty stadium, which was strange, but that wasn't important to me. It was just about getting out with my county and being on the pitch on the biggest day in the calendar. And it was emotions through the game because obviously just before half time I'd gotten a black card, which I felt was quite harsh at the time. But it was just very special. Great occasion to do it with the lads. And I suppose because it was a different type of championship with no supporters in, we were even closer together than that group of lads. We obviously had to, like everyone else, we had to be careful and stick to a bubble, and being able to spend that time together on the pitch was very special.
Yeah, I can just imagine the feeling. And you say, I never even thought about that with nobody there. It's just you kind of there celebrating together, which in a way it could be better because they're the lads that you've trained with and went to war with, over that time. And tell me, because I have to ask you, Dessie with underage with Dublin, then Dessie again, I suppose, with senior. You must have had a great relationship with Dessie over the years playing football.
I do. I absolutely. I've the utmost respect for Dessie. From under 14 up to 21s, and then back again in 2020. It was, I spent many great years with Dessie, and I've learned so much from him. And not only is he a great football manager and coach, but he's a great person first and foremost. And Dessie's one of those lads that would, make sure you're okay, care for you so much outside of football, which is it says a lot about the man. I loved playing for Dessie and playing, in those squads and learning from him. And, I was delighted, even though I'd stepped away myself to move here to Dubai at the end of 2022. I was delighted to see the lads get back up at the top again, in particular for Dessie, because I know how much he gives to the game, and I know how much he cares about that team and cares about Dublin, and it was great to see. So I'd be in touch with him every now and then, just send him the odd text. But I've a great, just the most respect for him. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I feel to do it to win the All-Ireland at senior level, but I would even argue the achievement of the development squads, because I suppose those people sometimes, I feel the coaches, managers are the unsung hero, because it's tricky, like going to under 14 and 16, you're dealing with young lads and trying to get them to perform and educate them and all and be a mentor. It's really a lot harder than people probably give it credit for. But amazed that Dessie was able to lead a group up along. I just think that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said earlier, like so many of those lads have gone on to do great things in the game, and a lot of that does come down to the coaching we got and the guidance that we got as young lads growing up. Because I say you could go any which direction, but he definitely helped us learn a lot and guided us in a great way. And I'm just glad he's getting those rewards for that hard work, because I say those development squads, there a lot of it is unsung work, and maybe don't get the applause that they deserve at times when that success carries on to senior level, if they're not involved themselves. Yeah,
absolutely. Look, Robbie, thanks very much for coming on the podcast. It's been great to hear about your whole journey with Dublin, Ballyboden, and your successes. It's been an unreal and very insightful to hear about it. Wishing all the best with the Celts. I'm definitely rooting for you to kick a few swingers and pull the tournament out in Bahrain as well. So hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, no, the lads will probably be telling me to pass it off to the shooters, but sure, look, I'll give it a go.
Well, I've seen you train anyway. You can shoot yourself. Don't worry about the lads.
Appreciate that. Thanks very much for having me on. It's been great. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Emerald Athlete podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to leave a review and don't forget to check out our Instagram page, the Emerald Athlete Podcast.